and also that's me pulling wet wipes out of the Thames.
Lovely.
Which actually, whilst gross, is actually a really rewarding afternoon spent with pals. Maybe not on a day like today, but it's really quite incredible. We did this last summer, and in 3 hours, 30 volunteers pulled out over 22,000 wet wipes from the Thames. So it's pretty astonishing. People just taking off their makeup and flushing. So put your wet wipes in the bin. That's my first message. But I'm here to talk to you today about the huge amount of money that all you guys are spending every single year. If you don't know about Good Loop, we're all about pairing brands with charities and rewarding consumers for their attention. And we do that with all the money that's sloshing in the pipes right now, all the money that goes to Facebook and Google. We want to take a little bit of that money and do some good with it. So we have the very lofty ambition, and we're doing it to be fair, of using ad money to solve the world's problems. And in case you haven't read about us, these are some of the brands that we work with. We work with loads of amazing Publicis brands as well. This just gives you an idea of what we do and why we do it. And here are some of the charities that we've supported over the past 6 years. We've raised $7 million for charity, which is incredible, using revenue that would be going to all these huge monolithic companies, and we're actually doing some genuine good with all of that cash. We funded meals through Fair Share, we've funded turtle mapping projects, we've planted so many trees, and the last count was over 2.5 million trees. We've done all sorts of hygiene packs for women who are struggling, everything. Name a charity, we'll have worked with one in that area. And we do this through purpose-powered ad formats. And this is how we've always done it, right? We produce really simple plug-and-play media formats which enable you, brands, to connect with consumers in a meaningful and truly impactful way. So when you watch one of our ads, you're rewarded for your time, or consumers are. So we take existing assets, we wrap them with our really cool, ethical, interactive wrapper, and then when people choose to engage and don't hit skip, that really tempting skip button, they're rewarded with a little micro donation that's funded by the advertiser that goes to charity. So here, and 50% of every dollar spent with us goes to a good cause. We're super proud of that.
In order to address the climate crisis, we have to transform everything.
You don't have to be called an activist to talk about what's right.
What are we going to do? What are the solutions we have at our fingertips?
I'm Billy.
I'm Dr. Ayana Elizabeth Johnson. So should we just in the next 30 to 45 minutes just figure out climate change and then
That's a great idea.
Super exciting campaign to work on. Billie Eilish was top secret at the time. And we worked with Nike quite a few times. And when brands work with us, here's another one, previously mentioned your Nature Valley example and how they open source their packaging. Nature Valley are all about getting people out into the world, right? Go out, enjoy the natural environment, take your cereal bar away from your breakfast table and just go out, go and do some cool stuff out in the world. So Nature Valley work with us. They are also, they use another product that we launched last year, which I'll go into in a little while. But all these brands come to Good Loop because they know that they're going to be able to deliver much higher intent to purchase, much higher consideration, all those brand KPIs and metrics are increased massively when they work with Good Loop. Plus, we get to do some good, right? So, here's a little example: 3 times increase in sustainability perception and 2.5 times uplift in brand trust when Nature Valley worked with us, just by leveraging their media spend into charitable donations. Really, really simple premise. We've worked with Nestle through Publicis, and they work with us on an ad format that, rather than raising money and communicating to the consumer about how much money was being raised, what we did here was actually focus on the impact. So by watching this video, we'll plant a tree. So thank you so much for watching our video, spending some time with our brand. Let's plant a tree for you. And this delivered a 75.4% completed view rate, which versus a benchmark of 65%. And we planted 136,000 trees just with ad revenue that would normally run on YouTube, for example. So this is what we're all about. And we've been doing this, as I said, for 6 years. We work with quality, values-aligned publishers. We're all about rewarding quality journalism and making sure that responsible journalism is funded, whether that be about diversity and inclusion or sustainability. So this is how we structure our managed service. We also work with all the usual verification companies, but we are a B Corporation, so it's wonderful to hear that you guys are on your journey to become a B Corp. It's a really long process. We have an impact manager, and honestly, for 3 months of the year, that's all she does. So we're currently filling in all our commuter surveys so that we can understand how many miles we've travelled. My recent trip to Australia, quite a lot of miles, so we've got to focus on that. But we're also a member of the Conscious Advertising Network. We're in fact a founding member of it, and we've been instrumental in helping them build their 7th manifesto, which is focused on sustainability. We're also recognised by BEMA as being net carbon negative, and we're also a member of AdNet Zero, so the industry initiative to get brands and agencies and the industry as a whole to zero by 2030. So we've been doing all of this, and all of our ads have been carbon neutral. And about 2 years ago, people started going, your carbon neutral ads, how do you do that? And we were like, well, we have a calculation, and we apply that onto every single campaign, and then we offset it. It's pretty simple. We've worked out our scope 1, we've worked out our scope 3 and 2, but we needed to focus on our scope 3, so do that. And people were like, share that with us, we need to do that. So we put a calculator on our website. We open sourced our methodology in our calculator, and overnight this became the most visited part of our website. The website had been going for 6 years, and suddenly this was the most visited page on the site. So the industry was telling us something, that they really needed a hand with figuring out how to manage this huge tentacly thing and this really complex problem of measuring carbon footprints and understanding how to reduce your impact through digital media buying. So we built basically some planet protecting ad tech, and this is basically our methodology spun out into basically a viewability tag, but for the planet, right? Let's try and understand all the different touches and points in a chain that an ad will touch to get from A to B, right? So this is a super easy turnkey solution that we've built over the past year. We went live officially last July, so we've measured billions and billions of impressions so far. And what we're doing is, we're doing it because people don't know what they're dealing with. It's really complicated. We did some research a couple of months ago. 56% of agency people in the US and 46% of brand marketers in the US believe that sustainability is more important than the cost of media. So these are your clients saying, yeah, I'm prepared to pay for better quality and media that doesn't wreck the planet. Which is a good thing. They say this, we'll see what happens. But also 84% of UK marketers say that the digital advertising industry needs to do more to help reduce carbon emissions. Great, this is all really, really good. All of these things ladder up to all of these wonderful, wonderful, wonderful statistics, but only 9% of companies have had targets set for them. So they're like, yeah, we want to become net zero by 2030. No one set us any targets. So we need to set some targets in the industry. And this matters because 4% of global emissions are generated by the internet each year, and that's on track to double by 2025. More and more things are becoming digitised. Our lives are spent even more online. More and more countries are becoming more prolific with their internet usage, and advertising is growing online as well. So it's a huge problem, but we can't see it, we can't touch it, we can't taste it. But this gives you a little bit of context. 5.4 tonnes of CO2 equivalent is emitted by an average online campaign. Now, I'm not going to say that you produce or you deliver average campaigns, but we're setting a lot of average campaigns live every single day and every single week. So that's just an online ad campaign generates around about the same as what half of a UK consumer generates in a year. So you're setting these campaigns live every single day. That's a whole lot of CO2. And according to Scope 3, 1 million video impressions has the same carbon footprint as someone flying from Boston to London and back again. So what, 14 hours in a plane? From just 1 million video impressions. So this is a huge problem, and one that we're determined to try and help fix. So you perhaps don't need me to explain this, but for some people, this is where the problem begins, right? This bin fire of the programmatic industry. It's crazy. All these different suppliers taking not only data and money out of the programmatic ecosystem, but also pumping a whole lot of CO2 out into the atmosphere. We've simplified it slightly to try and to make it easier, because let's face it, that is a hellscape. And basically the reason why so much CO2 is generated is because of all those hops in the chain when getting an ad. Plan your campaign, you're like, these are the channels, and then suddenly activation comes along and you've got thousands of bids happening on one piece of inventory. All those bids aren't winning that piece of inventory. A huge amount of computational power is required to get that ad from A to B. It's really inefficient. And it's something that we're not necessarily going to move away from this now. It's been 10, 12 years of working like this. But what we really need to do is understand and get learnings about what in this we can change and how we can improve things. So we've built this technology, our planet protecting technology, very lofty, I like it, I'm going with it. And this is basically a turnkey solution for measuring, reducing and offsetting the carbon emissions